The city was dead. Broken towers leaned over streets full of ash. No lights, no voices, only the cold wind moving dust through empty windows. A long time ago, life had lived here. Now only silence ruled. Captain Elias Gray walked slowly through the ruins, his boots pressed on cracked stone. His hand stayed close to the old pistol on his belt. He was not here for treasure, not for war. He was searching. The colony ship had reported strange signals before vanishing. Elias had followed alone because no one else wanted this mission. He listened. Nothing. Only the sound of the wind. He thought the city was just another graveyard. But then, a sound cut through the silence. Not metal, not stone. It was soft, fragile, a cry. Elias froze. His heart beat faster. It was a child's voice. But how could there be a child in this place? The cry came again, but this time it was not through his ears. It was inside his mind. Words broken and small. Help. Me, human. Elias spun around. The voice was weak, but it had weight, as if it carried across 1,000 miles to reach him. He followed it, moving quickly through the shadows of fallen towers. He turned a corner and his eyes widened. There, under a broken arch, sat a small figure. Its skin was pale silver, glowing faintly in the dark. Its eyes were large, full of tears that shimmered. It was not human. It was an alien child, no more than 8 years old by human measure. The child trembled when it saw him. Its small arms wrapped around itself. Its lips did not move, yet Elias heard the words clearly inside his mind. Human, will you protect me? Elias stepped closer slowly, careful not to scare it. Easy now, he whispered, though he knew the child heard more than just his voice. I'm not here to hurt you. The child looked at him with fear and hope mixed together. Before Elias could say more, the ground shook. A heavy thud echoed across the ruins. Then another. Like footsteps, Elias's hand went to his pistol. He looked around, eyes sharp. The child's tears grew, and again the voice came to him. They are coming. Out of the smoke, shadows moved. Tall, armored figures stepped into view. Their eyes glowed red through helmets shaped like skulls. Each carried a long spear that crackled with energy. Hunters. Elias had heard of them in whispers across the galaxy. They tracked the last survivors of fallen worlds, killed without mercy, and never left until the bloodline was gone. Now he understood. They were here for the child. The hunters saw Elias standing in front of the small alien. One of them raised his spear and spoke in a harsh, grinding voice. Step aside, human. That thing belongs to us. Elias did not move. His body blocked the child completely. His mind raced. He was only one man, one pistol. But he knew one truth. If he moved, the child would die. Not today, Elias said, his voice steady. The hunters laughed, a cruel sound that echoed through the ruins. One stepped forward, dragging the spear on the stone floor. Sparks flew. You protect it? Foolish human. You will die for nothing. Behind him, the child clung to his leg, its small fingers shaking. Its voice reached him again. Please, do not leave me. Elias took a breath. He remembered his own daughter, long gone in the war years. He remembered how small her hand had felt in his. Something inside him burned. He aimed his pistol. If you want the child, he said, you'll have to go through me. The hunters stopped laughing. Silence fell, heavy and sharp. Then the first one moved, fast, too fast. Its spear cut the air with a crack of lightning. Elias fired. The shot rang through the ruins, striking the hunter's armor. It stumbled but did not fall. The others spread out, circling him. Elias pulled the child close, backing toward the broken arch for cover. His heart pounded, but his hand stayed steady. He fired again. Another shot, another hunter slowed. The child pressed its head against his side, whispering into his mind with a voice that shook with terror. They will never stop. They will never stop. Elias gritted his teeth. Then we keep moving. We run, we fight, whatever it takes. The hunters closed in, their glowing eyes fixed on the child. Elias held his ground. For the first time, he felt the weight of what he had chosen. Not just a mission, not just survival, he was now protector. The hunters raised their spears ready to strike. The air filled with the crackle of deadly energy. The ruins glowed with red light. Elias pulled the child tighter into his arms, raised his pistol, and whispered, Stay with me. I won't let them take you. And then, the shadows behind the hunters began to move. Something larger, darker, and far more terrible rose from the smoke. The ground trembled as if the city itself had awakened. Elias's eyes widened. The hunters turned, fear flashing even in their cold red gaze. The child gasped inside his mind. Protector. It is here. The ruins shook. Dust rained down from broken walls. Elias held the alien child close, his pistol pointed at the hunters. But it was not only the hunters he feared now. Something larger moved in the smoke. The child's silver eyes widened. Its small hand clutched his sleeve as a whisper filled his mind. Protector. The dark beast follows them. Elias's stomach tightened. He did not know what this beast was, but the way the child trembled told him it was worse than the armored hunters. The hunters, tall and cruel, stepped aside. They did not command the beast, they feared it. A low growl rolled through the ruins deep like thunder. Two burning shapes appeared in the smoke. Eyes yellow and full of hunger. The beast stepped forward. Its body was half metal, half flesh. Long claws scraped the ground. Its jaws dripped with glowing liquid that hissed as it touched the stone. The lead hunter pointed at Elias. Give us the child, human, or the beast will tear you both apart. Elias's mind raced. One pistol, one magazine, against armored hunters and a monster built for killing. He looked down at the child who shook but whispered again in his head. You promised. You said you will not leave me. Elias took a slow breath. I keep my word, he fired. The shot slammed into the lead hunter's chest plate, making sparks fly. The hunter staggered but did not fall. The others raised their spears, electricity crackling. The beast roared and charged. Elias grabbed the child and rolled behind a fallen column as claws ripped through stone. The ground shook with each strike. He pulled the child tight against him, heart hammering. Run, he whispered, though he knew there was nowhere safe. The hunters laughed, their cruel voices echoing. One shouted, He thinks he can save it. He will die here like the rest. But Elias was not ready to die. Not yet. He waited for the beast's next strike. When the claws smashed through the column, Elias spun, fired twice into its exposed eye. The beast howled, falling back, shaking its head. Smoke rose from the wound. The hunters shouted in surprise. Elias pulled the child's hand. Move! They ran through the ruins, feet pounding broken stone. Behind them, the beast shrieked with fury, crashing through walls like a storm. Hunters followed, their spears glowing red in the dark. The child tripped. Elias lifted it into his arms and kept running. The voice inside his head came fast, broken, full of fear. They can smell me. They will never stop. Then we keep going, Elias said through gritted teeth. His legs burned, his lungs ached, but he pushed forward. They darted into a narrow street. The walls on both sides leaned like crooked teeth. Elias hoped the beast was too large to follow. For a moment, silence, then crash! Stone exploded as the beast forced its way in. Smaller hunters slipping around it. Spears lit the street in red lightning. Elias ducked into a half-collapsed building. He set the child behind an old metal door and whispered, Stay quiet. He waited, pistol ready. The first hunter entered. Elias fired point blank. The shot punched through the helmet. The hunter dropped, sparks bursting from its armor. The child flinched but did not scream. It pressed small hands over its mouth, silver tears running down its face. The second hunter came. Elias fired again, but the pistol clicked empty. His heart sank. Out of bullets. The hunter raised its spear, lightning ready to strike. Elias grabbed a broken pipe from the ground and swung hard. The spear fell clattering against stone. He shoved the pipe into the hunter's chest and pushed with all his strength. Sparks erupted. The hunter fell backward, lifeless, but the beast was still there. It shoved its massive head through the wall, roaring. The whole building shook. Elias pulled the child close again. Time to go! They scrambled through a hole in the back of the building, running into a tunnel of shattered beams. Behind them, the beast forced its way through, breaking everything in its path. The child whispered in his mind, voice weaker now. Protector. I cannot run anymore. My power, it is waking. If I use it, you may not survive. Elias stopped, panting, staring into the child's glowing eyes. For a moment, he saw something ancient there. Not just a child, but a bloodline. A legacy that the hunters feared. He touched the child's shoulder. Listen, you're not alone. You don't have to fight this alone. The child's tears glowed brighter, and for the first time it nodded with courage instead of fear. The beast's roar filled the tunnel. Its claws scraped closer. The hunters' voices rose in cruel triumph. Elias tightened his grip on the pipe, ready to face death. But then the air trembled. The child screamed, not with its mouth but with its mind. A wave of energy burst outward, knocking Elias to his knees. The hunters were thrown into walls. The beast crashed back through stone, shrieking. The ruins shook as if lightning had struck. Elias looked at the child, stunned. Its small body glowed like fire, eyes burning silver. It whispered one last time, voice clear and strong inside his head. "Protector. They will fear me now, but more will come." Elias stared at the fallen hunters, at the beast struggling to rise. His chest heaved, sweat dripping down his face. He realized the truth. This was only the beginning. The galaxy would not stop hunting them, and he had just chosen to stand against it all. The ruins were quiet again, but it was not the silence of peace. Smoke curled from broken walls. Shattered armor lay across the floor, and the beast's heavy body twitched weakly in the rubble. The hunters were gone for now, but Elias knew this calm would not last. He leaned against a cracked pillar, chest rising and falling. His pistol was empty. His body ached from the fight. Beside him, the alien child sat with knees pulled to its chest. Faint silver light still glowed from its skin, flickering like dying embers. Elias looked at it carefully. The glow had saved them. That power had blasted hunters and beast alike across the ruins. But what was it really? The child raised its head slowly. Its eyes, wide and bright, locked on him. Without moving its lips, the voice slid into his mind once more. "Protector, you should leave me. If you stay, they will kill you too." Elias shook his head. "Not happening. You asked me to protect you. I said yes. I don't break my word." For a long moment, the child only stared. Then quietly it reached out and touched his wrist. The contact was warm, almost too warm. And then Elias's vision changed. The ruins around him blurred. His breath caught as a flood of images filled his mind. Visions not of this world, but of others. He saw tall towers of silver under alien skies. He saw banners with strange glowing symbols. Crowds of different species bowed before a royal family. A family with the same pale silver skin as the child. Then fire. Armies stormed the towers. Ships burned in the sky. Betrayal spread like poison. The royal family fell one by one, all except the child. The visions ended. Elias gasped, his knees weak. He looked at the small figure before him with new understanding. You're the last one." The child lowered its eyes. Its voice in his head trembled. "My family is gone. My world is gone. I am the last heir. The hunters will not stop until I am nothing." Elias ran a hand through his hair, trying to steady his thoughts. He had fought in human wars before. He had seen cruelty, betrayal, greed. But this was different. This was a galaxy chasing down a single child out of fear. "Why?" Elias asked. "Why do they want you dead so badly? You're just a kid." The child looked up again. Its silver eyes glowed faintly. "Because of my blood. They believe my people could unite rebels across the stars. They fear that if I live, I will become hope." Elias felt the weight of those words. A single child hunted by empires and monsters alike. And now that child sat beside him, asking him for protection. For a moment, silence pressed between them. Then Elias gave a tired chuckle. "Guess I picked the wrong city to explore." The child tilted its head, confused. Elias shook his head. "Doesn't matter. What matters is this. I'm not leaving you behind. Let the galaxy fear you. Let them come. They'll find a human standing in their way." The child's eyes widened, and for the first time, Elias felt something new in the voice inside his mind. Hope. But hope was fragile. Above, the sky crackled with sudden light. Elias looked up through the broken ceiling. His heart sank. Ships' dark shapes cut across the clouds. Engines burned red like fire. More hunters were coming. But this time they were not walking. They were descending from orbit. The child trembled. "They will burn the city. To take me." Elias's jaw tightened. He had seen orbital strikes before. He knew what fire from the sky could do. If they stayed here, there would be nothing left but ash. He pulled the child to its feet. "Then we move, now." They ran through the ruins, weaving between broken walls. The distant roar of ships grew louder. The hunters would not wait long. As they moved, Elias asked, "Do you know any place safe?" "Anywhere at all." The child shook its head. "There is no safe place. Not in this galaxy." "Then we'll make one," Elias said. The child looked at him with surprise but said nothing. They reached the edge of the city. Beyond lay a vast plain of glassed earth. scorched by war long ago. At its center sat a wrecked starship, half buried, broken, but not completely dead. Elias's eyes narrowed. That'll do. They slipped inside the wreck, climbing through twisted metal corridors. Sparks still flickered from old control panels. The child's faint glow lit the path. In the control chamber, Elias brushed dust from a console. His soldiers' hands moved quickly, checking wires, testing systems. Most were dead. But one small engine hummed when he touched it. Weak but alive. The child stepped beside him. Its hand glowed brighter as it touched the console. Symbols lit up across the screen. Elias raised an eyebrow. "You can read this?" The child nodded. "This was one of our ships. I can help you start it." Elias gave a sharp grin. "Good, because if those ships above drop fire, we'll need to fly." Outside, the sky roared louder. Red beams lanced down, striking the ruins behind them. Explosions shook the wreck. Dust fell from the ceiling. The child whispered in his mind, voice urgent but calm. "Protector, if you stay with me, you will fight the galaxy itself. Do you still choose this path?" Elias's hands gripped the controls tight. He looked at the child, at those eyes full of sorrow and light, and said, "I already chose." The ship groaned as its engines came alive. Flames lit the dark plain. Above, the hunter's fleet closed in. The wrecked starship groaned as its engines came to life. Blue sparks lit the broken chamber. Elias gripped the controls, sweat running down his face. The child stood beside him, glowing faintly. Its small hands pressed to the console. Together, human and alien forced the ship awake. Outside, the night sky burned red. Hunter ships circled above, their engines like angry stars. Voices echoed from their comms, sharp and cruel. "Human, give us the air. Step aside and we will spare your life." Elias leaned closer to the console and muttered, "Yeah, I've heard that one before." The child turned to him, silver eyes wide. "Protector, they will destroy us if we try to fly." "This ship cannot fight." Elias checked the weak engine hum. One thruster sputtered, the others dead. Weapons were offline. Shields? Gone. He gave a dry laugh. "Then we don't fight in the sky. We fight down here." The child tilted its head, confused. "You mean, you will stand against them?" Elias looked out through the cracked window at the red lights descending. His jaw tightened. "That's exactly what I mean." The hunter's ships landed hard, shaking the ground. Dust rose in thick clouds as tall armored figures stepped out. Spears of crackling energy lit the plain. Their leader, a massive hunter with blackened armor, lifted his weapon and shouted, "Bring us the air. Leave the human alive as warning." Elias stepped out of the wreck, pistol in hand. He had found one spare clip inside the ship, but only a few bullets. Hardly enough. Still, he walked forward with steady steps. The hunters laughed when they saw him. "One human against many? You will break." Elias raised his pistol. "I don't break." The hunters spread in a half circle. The beast from earlier had not followed, but this group was larger, stronger. They thought they had already won. Behind Elias, the child peeked from the wreck's doorway. Its voice whispered in his mind, full of fear. "Protector, they will kill you," Elias answered without turning. "Not if I kill them first." The first hunter charged, spear glowing red. Elias fired. The bullet hit its chest, sparking but not stopping. The second shot punched through the helmet. The hunter dropped, lifeless. The others roared. Spears lit with lightning. Elias ran sideways, using the broken ship for cover. Energy bolts smashed into metal, blasting holes through steel. He fired again, dropping another. His movements were fast, sharp, learned from years of war. But numbers pressed him hard. 5, 6, 7 hunters came at once. He ducked, rolled, fired, and each shot mattered. His pistol clicked empty again. He cursed under his breath, grabbed a broken steel rod from the ground, and swung it with soldier's fury. Sparks flew as it smashed against armor. One hunter fell back, another staggered. Elias kicked one's knee joint, then rammed the rod through the weak point of its helmet. Pain surged in his shoulder as a spear slashed him. He gritted his teeth, refusing to fall. Behind him, the child screamed. Not a voice, but a blast of soundless power. The ground shook. The hunters staggered. Elias felt the wave pass through his chest, burning cold and bright. He turned. The child stood outside now, glowing fully silver, eyes shining like stars. The hunters stopped, fear breaking through their cruel masks. "The air!" one shouted. "Kill it now!" They raised their weapons. Elias stepped in front of the child, bleeding but unshaken. He spread his arms wide. "If you want the kid," he shouted, voice raw, "you'll have to go through me." The turning point for a heartbeat silence. Dust swirled. The hunters stared at him, confused. A single human, outnumbered, outgunned, bleeding, yet standing tall, unbroken. And in that moment, even they felt something strange. Fear. Not of the child, but of him. Elias roared and charged. He swung the steel rod with all his strength, smashing one hunter aside. The child's glow flared brighter, sending waves of psychic force. Together, human courage and alien power pushed the hunters back. The leader raised his massive spear and struck at Elias. Sparks burst as rod met weapon. The force knocked Elias to the ground. The hunter loomed over him, ready to finish it. Then the child screamed again, a soundless cry that shook the plain. The leader's armor cracked under invisible pressure. With a final burst of light, the hunter's body shattered, falling in pieces. The others froze. Fear won. They backed away, dragging their wounded. One shouted, "This is not the end, human. More will come. You cannot stop the galaxy!" Their ships roared back to life. Hunters retreated, lifting into the sky, leaving smoke and silence behind. Aftermath. Elias dropped the steel rod, breathing hard. His shoulder bled, his arms shook, but he stood. The child ran to him, glowing softer now. Its voice filled his mind again, but this time with awe. "Protector, you fought for me when even my own people would not. Why?" Elias knelt, meeting the child's eyes. "Because that's what humans do. We protect the weak, even if it kills us." The child's silver eyes filled with tears, but this time they were not only of fear. There was something else, trust. The sky above rumbled. More ships might come. The galaxy would not stop. But for now they had survived. Elias stood tall, bloodied but unbroken. The child held his hand, small but firm. Together they looked at the burning horizon, and the story of one human standing against many was only just beginning. The wrecked ship groaned like an old beast. Its broken frame shook as Elias forced the controls forward. Sparks jumped from dead panels, smoke filled the air, but the engines roared to life at last. The child stood beside him, glowing faintly, its small hands pressed to the console. Symbols in alien script lit up wherever it touched. Without the child's help, the ship would never fly again. Outside, the horizon still burned from the hunters' retreat. But Elias knew they would return. He had bought time with blood, nothing more. He looked at the child. "Hold on, this ride's going to be rough." The engines screamed. The wreck lifted, groaning against gravity. Metal snapped, wings trembled, but somehow the ship rose into the sky. The ground shrank beneath them. Flames and smoke faded into clouds. For the first time since meeting the child, Elias felt air return to his lungs. They were leaving the cursed city behind, but not the danger. Above the clouds, red lights blinked. Hunters' ships waited like vultures. The chase alarm screamed inside the cabin. Radar lit with hostile signals. The hunters had not left. They had only been waiting. The child's voice filled Elias's mind, sharp and afraid. "Protector, they surround us. We cannot fight them." Elias gritted his teeth, pushing the controls. "Then we don't fight. We run." He slammed the throttle. The wrecked ship shuddered, engines groaning in protest. Flames burst from broken vents. But the old machine still obeyed, climbing higher, faster. Hunter ships dove in, spears of red energy flashing through space. Explosions rocked the hull. Metal screamed, pieces flying off into the void. Elias swore under his breath. "Come on, hold together, old girl. Just a little longer." The child clung to the console, eyes wide with fear. Sparks rained from above. Their fragile escape seemed moments from tearing apart. Human trickery. One hunter ship closed in, weapons glowing. Elias twisted the controls, forcing the wreck into a sudden dive. The old hull rattled, nearly breaking apart. But the hunter overshot, slamming into debris. A fireball lit the darkness. The child gasped. "You outsmarted them." Elias gave a tired grin. "Humans may not be the strongest, kid, but we know a thing or two about surviving." More hunters followed, forming a net ahead. Elias scanned the console. Most systems were dead. Only one engine burned strong, dragging them forward. Shields were gone, weapons useless. He needed a miracle. The child touched the console again. Symbols glowed brighter. Then a map appeared on the cracked screen. A path through a nearby asteroid field. Elias narrowed his eyes. That'll tear us apart. No, the child whispered in his mind. I know the way. My people used these paths long ago. If we follow, the hunters cannot chase. Elias hesitated only a second, then nodded. Show me. Into the storm, the ship plunged into the asteroid field. Massive rocks turned slowly in the void, shadows cutting across the stars. Elias wove the wreck through narrow gaps, engines screaming. Hunters followed, but the rocks were less forgiving to them. One smashed into an asteroid, exploding. Another clipped a wing and spun out. The child guided him, glowing brighter with every turn. Left, now down. Wait, now climb. Elias obeyed, sweat dripping, hands steady on the controls. His soldier's instincts matched the child's knowledge. Together they became something deadly, human skill and alien memory. One by one, the hunters fell behind. Explosions lit the rocks. Only silence followed. When the last hunter vanished from the radar, Elias finally breathed again. We made it. The child sank into the seat, trembling but smiling faintly. We escaped. Elias nodded, though he knew escape was temporary. The hunters would return with more ships, more fire. But for now, the void was theirs. Stars and stories. The ship drifted through the asteroid field, moving slower now. Elias leaned back, wiping sweat from his brow. His shoulder throbbed from the wound, but he kept his eyes on the stars. The child looked at him, silver eyes full of questions. Protector, why do you fight for me? Even your own people might turn against you. Elias sighed, staring at the endless dark. Because I've seen what happens when the strong abandon the weak. Whole worlds fall. Innocents pay the price. That's not what it means to be human. The child tilted its head. What does it mean? Elias gave a small smile. It means we protect. Even when it's hopeless. Even when it's stupid. Because sometimes one stand is enough to change everything. The child grew quiet, watching him. Then it whispered, If my people had been like yours, maybe my world would still live. Elias reached out, resting a hand on the child's small shoulder. Your world isn't gone, kid. As long as you're here, it lives. The child's eyes shone brighter, no longer only with fear. A message in the dark. Just as Elias began to believe they were safe, the console blinked. A message flashed in alien symbols. The child read it, face turning pale. Protector, it is a warning. They have marked us. The hunter sent word across the stars. Now the whole galaxy knows the human carries the air. Elias stared at the screen, his jaw tight. Already he could imagine it. Posters, broadcasts, bounties. Every corner of space would know his face. The child whispered, voice trembling. Even your people will not help you now. Elias leaned forward, staring at the stars rushing past. His voice was steady, unshaken. Then we don't need their help. Let the galaxy come. We'll show them what one human and one child can do. The child looked at him in silence. Then slowly it nodded. Outside, the stars stretched like silver rivers. Their path was uncertain, but one truth burned clear. They were no longer just running. They were beginning a fight that could change everything. The ship limped across the stars. Its broken hull rattled with every jump, metal screaming under the strain. Elias worked the controls with steady hands, hiding his exhaustion. The child sat quietly beside him, silver eyes glowing faintly in the dark cabin. For days they drifted through empty space, hunted signals always near. Elias knew they could not keep running forever. Supplies were low. The ship would not hold much longer. They needed repairs, fuel, food, and answers. At last, a colony appeared ahead, a small human world circling a pale blue star. Its light sparkled faintly against the void. For Elias, it felt like home even from afar. The child touched his arm, whispering into his mind, Protector, will your people help us? Elias hesitated. He wanted to say yes, but he remembered the hunter's message, the warning sent across the galaxy. Wanted human carrying the alien air. He forced a smile. We'll find out soon enough. The arrival of the colony's port was quiet when their battered ship docked. Elias stepped out first, pistol at his side, scanning faces. Humans in dusty uniforms stared at the wreck, then at him. Captain Elias Gray, one officer said, narrowing his eyes. We thought you were dead. Elias gave a tired grin. Close enough. The officer's gaze shifted. The child stepped off the ramp, glowing faintly in the shadows. The crowd murmured in surprise, fear flickering in their eyes. Elias placed a steady hand on the child's shoulder. This one's with me. The officer frowned but said nothing. Instead, he led them through narrow streets to the governor's hall. The governor's offer, Governor Hale, was a tall woman with sharp eyes and a voice like steel. She listened as Elias explained. The hunters, the beast, the child's powers, the warning across the stars. When he finished, silence filled the hall. At last, Hale spoke. You brought death with you, Elias. If the hunters know you are here, they will burn us all. Elias stood firm. Then help me fight them. Give us fuel, weapons, whatever you can spare. If we run, we still stand a chance. Hale's expression hardened. Or we hand the child over. One life for many. The colony survives and the hunters leave us alone. The child flinched, clutching Elias's sleeve. Its voice trembled in his mind. Protector. They want to trade me. Elias's eyes burned with anger. You'd give a child to monsters? Hale's jaw tightened. This is not just a child. It is a target. And your presence puts us all in danger. Elias stepped forward, fists clenched. If survival means becoming like them, then you've already lost. The betrayal. That night, Elias and the child were given a room. Soldiers stood at the door. Elias knew they were not guards for safety. They were guards to keep them in. He paced, restless. His instincts screamed danger. The child sat on the bed, voice soft in his mind. Protector, I should leave. Alone. If I go, you live. Elias knelt beside it, gripping its shoulders. Listen to me. You are not alone anymore. If they want you, they'll have to kill me first. Before the child could reply, alarms blared. The walls shook with distant blasts. Shouts filled the streets outside. Hunters. Elias cursed. He ran to the window. Ships hovered over the colony, red lights cutting through the night. Soldiers ran in panic. Energy fire lit the sky. And then Elias saw it. One of the colony officers, the same who had greeted them, speaking with a hunter commander. The gates had been opened. Betrayal. Fire in the streets. Elias grabbed the child's hand. Move! They burst from the room as hunters stormed the hall. Spears crackled. Armor gleamed red. Elias fired, dropping two before dragging the child into the streets. The colony was chaos. Buildings burned. Families screamed. Hunters cut down anyone who resisted. The child's voice shook in his mind. Protector, why do they betray their own? Elias's heart ached, but he kept running. Because fear makes people weak. But we're not like them. We keep fighting. They ducked into alleys, weaving through fire and rubble. Hunters followed, relentless. One cornered them near the square. Its spear glowed, ready to strike. Elias raised his pistol, but it was empty. He braced for death. The child stepped forward, tears glowing on its cheeks. Silver light burst from its body, knocking the hunter back in a storm of energy. The blast shook the streets, flames twisting in the air. Elias shielded his eyes. When the light faded, the hunter was gone. Nothing left but scorched stone. The child fell to its knees, trembling. Protector, if I use this power again, I may lose myself. Elias lifted it into his arms, voice rough. Then I'll hold on to you. No matter what, they escaped. They reached the edge of the colony. Flames rose high behind them, smoke covering the stars. More hunters poured in, but so did frightened colonists running in every direction. Elias spotted a small shuttle, its engines still running. He pulled the child aboard, slamming the hatch shut. Bullets rattled against the hull as he fired the thrusters. The shuttle lifted, tearing away from the burning colony. Through the window, Elias saw the truth. Human and alien both were enemies now. The hunters had spread their poison. The child pressed its head against his chest, whispering weakly in his mind. Protector, if you stay with me, you will die. Elias stared out at the endless stars, his jaw set. Then we die fighting. Together. Behind them, the colony burned, another place lost to betrayal and fire. Ahead, the galaxy stretched wide, full of enemies waiting. But Elias knew one thing. They were not running anymore. They were surviving. And soon, they would make their enemies afraid. The shuttle drifted in silence. Behind them, the colony burned, its lights fading into darkness. Ahead stretched the endless void, cold and star-filled. Elias sat in the pilot's chair, his hands gripping the controls tight. His shoulder throbbed from the wound, his body heavy with exhaustion. But his eyes never left the stars. The child rested in the co-pilot's seat, its silver glow dimmer than before. Each breath came weak and shallow. Yet when it looked at Elias, its eyes still held trust. Protector, The voice whispered inside his mind, faint as a breeze. The hunters will not stop. More ships are coming. Elias gave a tired smile. Then we stopped them first. The final hunt radar lit up. Signals closed in from all sides. Not just hunters now, entire fleets. Elias stared, his jaw tight. The message had spread across the stars. To the galaxy, he was no longer a soldier, no longer human. He was the fool who carried the air. The child touched his hand. Its voice carried sorrow. If I use all my power, it may destroy me. But if I do not, they will destroy us both. Elias squeezed its hand gently. Then we fight together. No matter the cost, the child's silver eyes trembled. But then, slowly, it nodded. Outside, the first hunter fleet appeared. Black ships stretched across the void like a wall. Weapons glowed red, preparing to fire. Elias whispered to himself, one last stand. Human courage. Alien power. The shuttle shook as beams of energy sliced past. Elias pushed the controls, dodging between blasts. The ship groaned, ready to fall apart. Hold together, damn it! Elias shouted, forcing it into a spin. He fired the last missiles. 2 hunters exploded in flames, but dozens more replaced them. The child stood, hands glowing like fire. Its body trembled, light building in waves. Elias felt the air grow heavy, his bones shaking as the child's power filled the cabin. Protector, do not let me go. Elias reached out, wrapping his hand around its small glowing fingers. Never. The child screamed, not with sound but with light. Silver energy burst from its body, exploding into the void. The wave cut through the first fleet, tearing ships apart as if they were paper. Hunters screamed before their vessels cracked and vanished into fire. But the power did not stop. It kept rising, pouring out of the child like a storm without end. Elias felt it burning through him, threatening to tear everything apart. He held tighter. Stay with me. You're not alone. The turning point. The second fleet hesitated. They had seen the first destroyed in seconds. Fear spread even among hunters. Elias saw their ships pull back, forming distance. For the first time they looked uncertain, and then he understood. This was why the galaxy feared the child. Not because of what it was, but because of what it could become. Hope. A light no darkness could crush. But hope was fragile. The child's body shook violently, the silver glow consuming its small frame. Protector. It is too much. I cannot stop it. Elias pulled it close, ignoring the burning pain that cut through his own flesh. Yes, you can. Because you're not just a heir.
Your family now?
My family, the child gasped. Its eyes softened. The storm slowed. The light bent inward, no longer wild but controlled. Together, human will and alien power became one. The energy burst outward one last time, a wave of light so bright it lit the void for miles. The remaining fleet scattered in terror, fleeing into the black. Silence returned. Only the stars remained. Protector of 2 worlds, the shuttle drifted among debris. Elias coughed, his body weak but alive. The child lay against his chest, its glow softer now, no longer dangerous. It whispered faintly into his mind. Protector. Will you stay with me? Forever? Elias looked at the stars. He thought of Earth, of wars fought, of family lost. And now, of this child, the last of a fallen people, yet not broken. He tightened his arms around it. Yes, always. For a long time they sat in silence, watching the stars together. Human and alien, protector and heir, somewhere in the galaxy, whispers would spread. Whispers of the battle. Whispers of a single human who defied fleets to protect a child. Whispers of a legend. And that legend carried a single truth. Humans do not abandon the weak, the beginning of something. Greater Elias set the shuttle's course into the unknown. The galaxy would not forget them. More enemies would rise, but so would allies. The child lifted its head, silver eyes filled not with fear, but with light. Protector, they will come for us again. Elias grinned, weary but unbroken. Then let them come. We'll be ready. Together they looked into the endless void, not as prey but as survivors, as protectors, one human, one alien child, 2 worlds united by a promise, and across the stars a new chapter had begun.